Okay, good afternoon. Welcome. We're going to call this meeting to order. This is General Policy Committee meeting of Gainesville City Commission, August 12th, 2021. We will not have Commissioner Desmond Walker with us this afternoon. I'm not sure about Commissioner Johnson or Commissioner Ariola, but we do have a quorum, so we will go ahead and get started. First order of business is adoption of our agenda.
So moved.
Motion and a second to adopt our agenda, no modifications. Any members of the public in chamber wish to speak to the motion? Adam, good afternoon. Welcome. You got anybody on the phone wishing to speak to adoption of our agenda? And if you're speaking, Adam, we can't hear you. We can see you.
And we agree.
Nobody, okay. The universal symbol for nobody on the phones. Okay, thank you, Adam. And real quick before we go to a vote, actually, let's go take a vote on that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes unanimously, 3 absent. Obviously, if you've been paying attention at all to the news, we continue to see an increase in COVID cases. Our hospitals are full. We have the highest positivity rates we've seen in well over a year. So to respond to that, we are taking increased precautions in all city facilities, including City Hall here. And so we ask that everybody keep their mask on at all times, even when you're speaking. We ask that you stay distanced at least 6 feet from other folks, even if you're vaccinated. We really have to go back to those safety measures that we know can help, which is just keeping masked up, keeping our distance safe from safe distance from one another, and as well as getting vaccinated. And if you need information about how to get vaccinated, you can find that in a multitude of places, really just by Googling closest vaccine, and you'll find a bunch of locations where it's free, easy, and pretty much pain-free as well. So with that, we'll move to our first item, which is approval of the minutes from the July 22nd GPC meeting. Any additions, corrections, or is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Hayes Santos, seconded by Commissioner Sacco to approve the minutes from the July 22nd meeting. Any members of the public wish to speak to that? Adam? No? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 3 absent. Okay. Up next, we have our advisory board and committee annual reports. So we have 2 folks today, SHIP and the Arts and Public Places Trust. I know that we have the chair of our Arts and Public Places Trust with us today, so let's go ahead and take that one first. Welcome. Thanks for being here with us today, and look forward to hearing from you.
Can you hear me?
You can.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, commissioners and Mayor Poe. I'm Catherine Kinsley Momberger, and for the past couple years, I've served as the chair of the Art and Public Places Trust. Okay, let's get started. Next slide. The Art and Public Places Trust is a small board of only 5 members with a very narrow focus. Because we are such a small focused group, it has been to our benefit that our members are well versed in the arts. Whether it is architecture, arts, administration, actual artists, or designers, the board has really brought their expertise to this work. We have 4 openings coming up on the board, and we hope that we can retain this level of expertise and also expand our diversity. We are responsible for evaluating and selecting public art that is funded by the 1% for Public Art Ordinance. This includes crafting the RFPs and then evaluating and choosing the artists. Most times this process is in collaboration with other city agencies, where we are primarily focused on what suits the needs of the city, along with what will elevate the public art in our community. Our main goal is to facilitate public engagement and creating an enriching environment through public art. We are committed to realizing the goals of the Cultural Affairs Division, PRCA, and the city. We usually meet 10 times a year. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we only were able to meet 3 times in 2020. Next slide. So here's some highlights from over the last year. The idea for Art in the Parks as part of the Gainesville anniversary project was brought to us, and we just loved it. The sculptures by David Hayes were installed in 20 of the city parks. Having one artist highlighted and installed throughout the parks really added continuity to Gainesville's public art. And how the city's Cultural Affairs Department developed activities around sharing the art for kids and families was great. This is a great example of how Art in Public Places Trust achieves its mission and brings public art to the community for all to enjoy. Another project was advising on the public art for the Reserve Park project. The eagle sculpture has been very well received, and it is also an example of ensuring that the public art is in sync with where it is installed. Another project the Trust underwrote was the 352 community murals for the Fifth Avenue wall at Spring Hill. Also, one of our members served on the panel that selected artists. We also advised on the installation by Leslie Tharp at Hogtown Headwaters Park, and our members also served on the review panel for the selection of the Gainesville Social Justice Mural Project. That included 12 murals by 12 regional artists, and it also won the 2021 Cultural Diversity Award, awarded by the National League of Cities. Next slide. Okay, one of my favorite and our favorite projects is when the board gets to recruit, review, and present an annual public awards to one of our neighbors. I'm always amazed by the dedication of all the award winners, whether they are in the arts or other areas of community service. This award goes to neighbors who have significantly contributed to public art in the community. This year's award went to Jesus and Carrie Martinez, a local muralist, who have graced our city with their artwork. Next slide. We continue to provide review and advisory guidance for the number of PCRA artist-related projects, including wild spaces and public places initiatives, the park signage and parks design policies, 352 community artist programs, and other ongoing and new division programs and activities. Next slide. In 2021 and into 2022, we have several ongoing projects. Continuing the selection process and funding of public art and the 352 walls throughout our community, our annual award for outstanding achievement in public art, supporting and advising on initiatives evolving from the PRCA master plan and wild spaces and public places priorities, including the development of new and improved cultural facilities and other projects such as the mural at the Clarence R. Kelly Center. Recently, we were involved in the selection of an artist and design for the new Veterans Monument at the Evergreen Cemetery. It will be a great addition to a beautiful space. And finally, let's see, a couple more things. Proposed projects for 2022 are, we need to revise the public art master plan for the city, and we also want to create an online directory of the Art in Public Places funded public art projects. This information exists, it just needs to be compiled and formatted for online access. Next slide. It has been a great pleasure of mine to serve on the Arts in Public Places Trust, and it has reminded me of what a great place Gainesville is to live, and how so many in the city work to make it better all the time. We often discuss ways the City Commission could help the board serve the community, and a couple ideas are to advocate for public art and funding of public art to be a consideration in private development. And finally, also to keep us in mind when you're working on your strategic plans by identifying how public art can help the city achieve its goals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and please extend our appreciation to your full board for all the work that you do. It's impossible to walk around our city, ride around our city, or really go anywhere without noticing the difference. Murals everywhere. The mural project is extraordinary. The metal sculptures that you never know when you're going to see one. I mean, it's like you go to a new park and all of a sudden one pops up that you didn't know was there. So it's just I think a constant reminder of the importance that art plays in our lives, and that it's not episodic. It's not a moment in time or something that one needs to go out of their way to go enjoy, but it's really woven into the physical space of our community. And that's, all praise goes to y'all for continuing to push that along and working with
And the
folks
city.
like Russ and, our city staff to realize that vision, because we are a much different looking community than we were just a few short years ago. And that's wonderful.
Glad to be a part of it.
Thank you for all the work. Commissioner Santos?
Thank you, Mayor, and repeat many of the things that the mayor said. I want to thank you and all of your work boards and doing, the staff too. I hope we can continue to expand the art we have, but also looking at how do we make sure that, public art, it gets weathered and things like that. So we do, even the murals and stuff like that have to be redone. So I want to make sure that we are funding that and continuing to expand the arts. I would ask you all advocate for more funding. It's something that I've supported and will continue to support. More public art. I think our city being a public art museum, no matter where you are, I think is a goal that I have, and I think that's it creates to the mayor's point, when you just go somewhere, you never even notice it's there, and it brings a little smile to your face. Thank you, Mayor.
Great.
Thank you. Mr. Ward?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I would echo what they both said, but I want to especially thank you for coming down and presenting to us. This is really helpful to me when our boards are able to appear before us, even on Zoom or even better face to face. We have a lot of advisory boards, and we don't always know what questions to ask or what exactly the boards are doing for us. With the long list of services that the city of Gainesville offers, and 2,300 people working at the city, and many hundreds of advisory board members, we don't always know exactly what you're working on. So to get a broad brush of what it is and a reminder of what your board does is personally helpful to me in understanding the decisions that we make. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have, Adam, anybody on the line that wishes to speak to this item? Or any questions?
At this time, sir, I don't know why we're getting some echoing. I apologize for that. There is nobody on the line.
Okay, very good, thank you. Russ, did you want to say anything? Good.
This is the last year of Kathy's term, her 2 terms, so I first want to thank her and for doing a great job. And secondarily, enforce one of the last things, which the slide didn't come up, but speaking to Commissioner Hayes Santos' comment, one thing that the board had talked about was the possibility in the future, and I know this year wouldn't be the right year, but in the future, to think about adding a requirement for public art in private development as versus just city development, would be able to fund future projects and revitalizing the walls we have and things like that. That's one vehicle that might provide a revenue source and of course enhance the new development that is happening all over our city.
Right on, great, thank you, Mr. Ridley.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate you being here today. Okay, we also have our ship board. Mr. Wachtel, are you here to present for that, or do we have somebody that's calling in? Thank you, Ms. Bolden.
Yeah, hang on a second. He should be calling in.
I'm John Wachtel.
Mr. Mayor, if Mr. Wachtel doesn't call in, I'm here to present on the SHIP AHAC committee.
Fantastic.
Jamie
Welcome.
Bell, the vice chair of the committee.
Okay, great. All right, thanks for being with us today.
Does someone in IT over there have the presentation, or should I share my screen?
We have the presentation. One moment.
Mr. Shepherd, mask. Thank you. Okay, so we can see the presentation, so feel free to begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. If we could scroll back up to the top, though, this is the end of the presentation.
So we would like to start at the beginning, I presume. Great, we got it.
Perfect. Thank you. Again, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission for having me today. My name is Jamie Bell. I am the vice chair of our SHIP AHAC committee. That's the State Housing Initiative Partnership Programs Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. It is a mouthful. But this is our report to the City Commission for both years 2019 and 2020. Next slide, please. We wanted to start with just a really quick overview of what the SHIP AHAC committee does. The SHIP program was created in the early 90s by the state legislature to promote partnerships between the real estate development industry and affordable housing advocates. We like to encourage construction of new affordable housing as well as the repairs of existing affordable housing and to encourage affordable home ownership. We're governed by state statutes, and that could be changed at any time by the Florida legislature. Next slide, please. The AHAC portion, or the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, came out of the SHIP legislature in legislation in the early 90s, and that's basically to receive this funding. The City Commission has to appoint the AHAC committee, and the state governs how we are composed and what our duties are. But the primary thing that we're responsible for is developing the incentives and recommendations report each year. That is our sole purpose through the state statute, but there are a couple other items we'll discuss as well. If you'll go to the next slide, please. Basically, the incentives and recommendations report is an annual review of all of the city's plans, policies, procedures, et cetera, that address affordable housing and the incentives to promote affordable housing in the city. It focuses a lot on our land development regulations with 11 key items called out for review that are required to be in our report each year. But we also will recommend actions to increase access to affordable housing throughout the city. For example, reduce the cost of building new affordable housing, changing zoning rules, things like that. And in order to receive those SHIP funds from the state, the City Commission is required to accept the incentives and recommendations report and then authorize the submittal of that report to the state. Next slide, please. As I said, that's our primary purpose, that is through state statute. However, we do have other duties. Some AHAC committees in other cities have other duties as well. Some choose to just focus on the incentives and recommendations report, but our committee has historically done a few other things, mainly related to grant funding opportunities for affordable housing projects. And so we have reviewed and made recommendations of certain affordable rental housing projects through the LIHTC program, which is the low income housing tax credit program, as well as the LGAO, that's the local government area of opportunity program, and SAIL, which is the state apartment incentive loan program. Basically, developers come to us with proposals for new affordable housing developments. We review the various proposals and make a recommendation for the City Commission to select one for our match funding that goes up to the state program for review. We've also looked at other plans within the city, such as the Housing Action Plan and the Comprehensive Plan, to again make recommendations specifically regarding the affordable housing components of those plans. But overall, we do collectively see our role as a repository for citizen comment regarding affordable housing. And we are a pretty diverse group. And so we think that we are a great blend of folks who can provide a lot of best practices for affordable housing coming from a lot of different perspectives. Next slide, please. Just to kind of summarize our recent and current ongoing activities, we do host public meetings quarterly. Obviously with COVID, things were a little bit different, but we do anticipate more public meetings coming up in our future. We actually held a developers workshop that was facilitated by staff to help the committee learn more about the types of affordable housing developments out there and to kind of gain some more perspective from the developer side of things so that we would have a better understanding when reviewing these types of grant applications. We reviewed a housing location scoring tool, and if you have questions, Mr. Wachtel, who's there, can provide a little bit more information on that, but it's a way of evaluating different potential locations for affordable housing opportunities to help kind of rank those appropriately. We've recently provided some updates and comments on the local city plans you can see listed there. But the most recent thing we did was review and recommend projects for the LGAO and SAIL programs. We looked at 2 in 2019, 7 in 2020, and 4 in 2021. And we just recently made that say the word twice, but you know what I mean? We just made that recommendation for the 2021 program. We looked at a couple of elderly focused communities and family focused communities, and had great interaction with developers at that meeting. So that's exciting that there's some new projects moving forward in town. And then of course there's the incentives and recommendations report that we will be working on next. Next slide, please. And this is my last slide. Moving forward, we do have 7 new members in 2021, which is exciting to get some fresh blood, if you will. These folks seem to be really excited and fast learners, and including a student member who's really engaged. And so I'm definitely excited to see that and to see the high attendance rates that we've had lately. And this group, while our sole purpose according to the state is just that incentives and recommendations report, a lot of us are really, really interested in staying on top of the ongoing affordable housing developments, not just the physical developments, but also kind of the regulatory and the kind of the vibe of how we see affordable housing in the community. And a lot of us are really wanting to stay abreast of any new actions that are going on in that realm. And so we definitely want to collaborate with other stakeholders, other city boards. If there's anything that we can do to kind of facilitate more of that push towards affordable housing, and we find more feedback from other community board members on what they'd like to see in their parts of town, we're definitely open to hear it, because we all do want to represent the people that we're not elected, but we all do live in different areas of town, and we all do see the different needs throughout the parts of our community. And so I think this is a great group that's really engaged in wanting to do more than just kind of our state law mandates. And I think that's a good thing that we want to be so engaged and part of the process. So that is the 2019 and 2020 update on the SHIP AHAC committee. I'm happy to answer any questions if y'all have any. And like I said, Mr. Wachtel is here as well. He and Helen have been instrumental in running this group, and we definitely couldn't do it without them. So shout out to them. They do a wonderful job, and we're really happy to keep working with them. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Bell. Really appreciate all the work. Please again extend to your board our appreciation. The one thing that I would like to just request, and Mr. Wachtel, maybe you can make sure that you can work with the chair to help them get this scheduled. We will at some point relatively soon have the exclusionary and inclusionary zoning analysis from HRNA come back to us, and I would love for this committee to read that, vet it, and give us their sort of impression of what is found in that. And similar to how we would send anything utility related through the UAB, that's going to be a very detailed and important analysis that's coming back to us. And I think spending a little time with the AHAC would really add to the value of the discussion that we have. So on top of everything else we ask of you, that is so critical to both our affordable housing policies that we're developing, as well as our comprehensive plan. Anybody else? Commissioner Ward?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, as I said earlier, to the Art and Public Places Trust, thank you so much for volunteering your time to be a part of this, and for helping us better understand what you do. We do have more interaction with your committee than we do with a lot of boards, but it's always good to have a reminder of why the board exists and what work you're doing on a regular basis. So thank you so much for that.
Okay, any members of the public wish to speak about the work of the Affordable Housing Board? Go ahead, Mr. Shepard, if you're ready.
Yes, my name is Don Shepard. I'm People's Representative, soon to be Mayor. And I are quite upset of how things have happened. Switching over to Zoom is default triple pay on our side of what is going on. This here is stuff that is not categorized correctly. I have books I brought with me that are your books. You put together by the Pure Gray nomination group, and the information isn't the correct of what the housing is supposed to take and receive. Housing department, I think that they taken are being along with our employees of our city and our commissioners are getting cut on their 401s. There's a lot of information that should have been made right, not a proposal, and active. And as a people's representative, I've reviewed the books that were given to me and the information within it that are supposed to be actuals, and they're not. They're proposals. And so this here, we need to go back to square one. If we're going to be a commission, if we're going to be a mayorship or a city, we need to take these people that put this information together and send them back to be educated by you, Mr. Pohl. Because this here is a step that is leaned against you. And when I'm hearing the senators and so call my house and tell me, you know, what is this stuff that's in these books? When I send them copies of what I have, they're like, what is this stuff? This here, I told them, this is the stuff that was given to me that I collected throughout the years, and I have several file cabinets of it, and I wanted to take and let you know what's going on in the city of Gainesville. It is crippling our city, and they're applying for all these grants. What happens when the Democrats are no longer in the House and their funding is cut? This is something Donald Trump mentioned when he was in office, and if he gets back in office, I think it possibly will go again towards the rebuttal of these books and information that's been transmission ever since 2003 that are incorrect. And I have all that information, and I plan on bringing it to head. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shepard. All right, Adam, you got anybody on the line to speak about the shipboard?
No, Mr. Mayor, we have nobody on the line at this time.
Okay, very good. Well, again, thank you for all the work that you do and for spending a little time with us, updating us with your annual reports. Truly appreciated, and we look forward to all of the future recommendations you can help the City Commission with. With that, we'll move on to our next item, which is a policy process update. And so, Ms. Bigby, are you going to be presenting this? Hello and welcome.
Hello, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm actually just going to do the introduction and then turn it over to the Policy Research Group. I believe Mr. Fulston will present.
Okay, very good.
So just as a reminder, one of the outcomes from the Organizational Culture Report, which we presented mid-May and early June to City Commission, talked about some pain points with the current policy process with impacted stakeholders and subject matter experts weighing in. What is the right time for all of that to happen? How can we enhance the process to identify resources at the right time? And so a couple of the points that we hope to address with enhancing the policy research workflow was to ensure projects and programs align with the city's mission and strategic plan. Make sure the enhanced workflow draws on leadership and impacted stakeholders at the right time before and after research commences. Estimate resources for new projects and programs so that can be considered in the design and timing of the plan or the program, and provide a mechanism for prioritizing those projects. So the charter's met a few times. We kind of hashed out pain points that all of our teams are experiencing and came up with an enhanced workflow that's very close to the original workflow with these additional controls in place. So we think that you'll like it. I'll turn it over to Mr. Fulson.
Right,
Thank you.
Ms. Bigby and Mr. Fulton, welcome.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Can you hear me well?
We can.
All right, perfect. So first, I want to thank the Mayor and Commissioners for this opportunity. I also want to take this opportunity to thank my boss, Ms. O'Michelle Gaines, the Gainesville City Clerk. Thank her so much, as well as all of the other charters in terms of collaborating with us on this initiative. It was a breath of fresh air to be able to sit down with them on multiple occasions, to be able to talk and kind of vet through what are the best practices and some things that we need to do to strengthen and enhance this process. So thank all of them so very much. I'll jump right in with sharing my screen. And so what we'll start with, Mayor, is the current process. Hopefully you can see it on your screens. If not, it is in your backup. And so here's the current process that we're doing right now for the Gainesville City Commission. Research ideas and formulations occur in phase one. Commissioners come up with an idea that they would like to be researched at 30,000 feet, and we begin to formulate with them how the research should go, the process, and what is the problem that they're trying to solve. We move it to phase two. Phase two is GPC consideration. And at this phase is where the commissioner gets a chance to share their idea with their colleagues and with the public, something that they've been thinking about that'll be beneficial to the community, our neighbors, as well as to staff and everyone at large. It's presented at GPC, again, at a 30,000 feet view, and then the commission begins to weigh on it as a whole. So now that commissioner's idea comes back to the full body, and the full body gets to decide, you know what? I think we like that. I think we want to hear more about that. Matter of fact, let's vote to pass that along to phase three, and let's assign a charter to it that it can come back to us with a little bit more meat on the bone. So coming down from 30,000 feet, let's get down to 5,000 feet and kind of see a better view of what this will look like in our community, as well as what this will look like in our organization. So we move to phase three, which is timeline development. And in phase three, currently is where the charter begins to determine the time and the resources that they need to be able to make whatever idea come to pass, to be able to take that proposal and create community engagement plan. And then to be able to say, hey, listen, this is how long it's going to take me to accomplish the task. You gave me this idea that you thought about. You guys have discussed it. I got good information from it. This is how much resources, this is how much time it's going to take me to bring that back in a more flushed out form. Phase four is when that full staff analysis is done, when it's moving from 30,000 down to 5,000 feet, if you will. And so during that phase four stage, the charter, the staff, they're there to assess the physical impacts, the operational impacts, as well as to do that community engagement piece, to really have that piece going to ask the community, hey, we're thinking about doing X. What do you think about X? How do you think we should work X within our community? How do you think it should be applied and worked? So that occurs in phase four. After phase four is phase five, and that's where that proposal is brought back to the full body of the commission at a 5,000 feet level. And it's where the commission can decide, hey, we want to change some things. We want to add some things. We may want to table it and say, hey, right now, the charter may come back and say, you know what, this isn't feasible for us in this season. This may be something that we need to do in the next fiscal year. All of those considerations are brought to pass. What did the community say is brought back to you during phase five for you to discuss and to kind of weigh your options to kind of see what do you want to do in terms of moving forward with that project. And then phase six is an implementation stage, and it's a stage where the policy is implemented within our community, and then metrics are gathered and KPIs to come back and say, hey, this was the success of that project in which we did in that initiative. So that's the current phase. What we're proposing after the charters and myself got together, again, appreciate each one of them and their input because they was collaborative in terms of making this come to pass. Here's what we're proposing. So what we're proposing is now at phase one of the policy process, the commissioner still is coming up with their ideal. Hey, what is that thing we want to do within our community? What problem are we trying to solve? And they're still coming up with that idea, but now we're tying or aligning that idea with the strategic plan. So even at that early stage of idea formulation, we're saying, hey, this is how that idea aligns with the strategic plan that the full body has already outlined. As the policy staff, we'll look on that idea with strategic initiatives and determine what's the best alignment within the strategic plan for it. If the commissioner can't figure it out, we will definitely help them and be that support. Again, the policy staff will still at a 30,000 feet level review that idea, flush it out, see what other communities are doing for that idea. If it's something new, see what the literature out there is saying about that idea. And then we'll bring it back to phase 2, which is GPC. The reason why phase 2 and the new process is highlighted in orange is because it's a decision phase for the commission. So at phase 2, in the new process, the commissioners will again present their idea to their colleagues, and then they will discuss as they're presenting that idea, where does it align with the strategic plan? How does it fit with what the commission has decided to do as a whole? Our staff will, as the policy team, will still do the presentation at a 30,000 feet level. And it's at that stage that now the commission, the full body, gets to decide, hey, you know what? We like that idea. Or you know what? We don't, let's table it for right now. Let's talk a little bit more about it. But should the commission, the full body, decide, hey, you know what? We want to see a little bit more with that. I shared with the mayor this morning that you guys are vision casters. And it's up to us as staff to put feet to the vision that you cast, that it can run, that it can move within the organization and within our community. And so once you guys give the charge to say, hey, yes, you know what, we want you to look more at it, then it comes down to phase 3 again, the timeline development. And one of the things that we're going to do that's a little different from our current phase, once you've assigned as a body that lead charter is going to convene a cross-departmental working group. And that cross-departmental working group is going to help the lead charter, if you will, determine how much time is necessary, who all we need to have at the table involved in this from a staff standpoint, who has the expertise. If we need to go and get an outside entity to come in and help us in some way, bringing them to the table as well and determining, hey, what are the resources? What are the time that it's going to take for us? What does the community engagement look like that we're trying to do in terms of implementing this process and getting good feedback from our neighbors? The lead chart is going to submit an outline on a submit a timeline form, if you will. They're going to submit a timeline form that we've created to kind of let you know what is the project, the basics, what's the name of it, who all is going to impact, who's the lead charter, as well as how much time it's going to take and resources to accomplish the research goal. And so once they've done it at phase 3, phase 4, it moves to phase 4. And that phase 4, again, that lead chart is going to convene a working group, preferably the same group from before. They may add some people for better fit and better alignment with what they're tasked with doing. They're going to look at the directives in terms of, hey, what is the physical impact? What is the operational impact? They're also going to, along with the Office of Equity and Inclusion, conduct the equity analysis. Management is going to also conduct the operational risk analysis or assessment, if you will. And then legal is also going to review as well. It is our hope and belief that it's going to be a collective group. There's going to be cohesion between the charter group and any of those pertinent departments or people who have expertise in those areas, again, to help bring more meat to the bone or whatever that idea is, bringing it down to 5,000 feet. And so once that is done, phase 5 comes into play. And again, phase 5 is highlighted in orange because it's a decision phase for the commission. So at phase 5, the policy staff is going to coordinate the final presentation to ensure that the idea has been passed to each charter, to make sure that there's another step or another level, if you will, of accountability. The policy staff is going to ensure that, hey, indeed, everybody was working together to make sure and everybody's thoughts and ideas were brought to the table, and it's going to be included in terms of the presentation. So even though there's going to be a lead charter, it's the desire of the charter group and myself is that during this process, we work collaboratively as a group. And so when we come back in phase 5, that lead charter will be leading that presentation, but the presentation will make sure that it includes the voices and the ideas of everybody involved. And so they'll come back again with final operational recommendations. What happened with the community engagement, they'll let you know those findings as well to the full commission. And then again, you guys will have the opportunity to come in and say, hey, we want to make changes here and there. You know what? We like that. That's a great idea. Can we tweak it a little bit here? Did you look at this? What did the community say? You have an opportunity to gather and gain all of that knowledge and information before you make a final decision there at phase 5. Once you've made that final decision and say, you know what, we like this idea, let's move forward with it. Then it moves to phase 6 in terms of implementing, and that policy is implemented into the community. It's implemented into our organization. And then we're going to work on developing metrics and KPIs so that we can assess, hey, how well did the project do? Was this a need that we truly was able to solve? And if we were, hey, where can we tweak it? Or you know what, we're right spot on with where we need to be. And so this is what we're proposing as the new process in terms of what we want to do policy-wise. Each equity has presented a form, community engagement. I'll show you that form because the plan is to, I clicked off of it. I'm sorry, give me 1 second, Mayor, to bring it back up. And no, I'll bring it back up. But this is the policy timeline form. Again, it gives you the descriptions, the potential fiscal impacts, the community engagement approach, the timeline that it's going to take to be able to do it. How many months is it going to take to do it? Is it budgeted? Who's the lead charter? Who are the assigned departments? Is it in the strategic plan? It even highlight not just yes or no, but where is it at in the strategic plan? Any stakeholder meetings are going to be taking place, and then the equity analysis, the operational risk assessment, and the legal analysis. This will allow you to be able to, as a body, to be able to see, hey, where's my idea? So that proverbial question of, okay, what's happened with my project? This form is there so you will know what happens with your project. It also gives you an opportunity as the body to be able to say, you know what, let's prioritize that a little bit better. And it also helps the charter as well. So for example, if the charter already has 3 items that already have been prioritized for them, but this new item that's come to pass is now a new priority, it allows for the commission to say, you know what, we want you to move that back, move that up to the top. What resources do you need to be able to make that happen? Do you need more to speed up your timeline? So if your timeline was 6 months, hey, what do we need to give you to speed that timeline up? Those discussions can also happen at the timeline development phase in the process and then to be in the formable form. Mayor, commissioners, do you have any questions of us? I know my boss may be on the line and she may want to share a few things, but if not, Mayor and commissioners, any questions that you guys have?
Thank you, Mr. Folsom. Ms. Candy, anything you want to add before we go back to the commission?
Sure. I'll just say that, again, thank you to everyone that has been collaborative to assist us again with this process. I do think it has given us a couple of refined areas that we can work on. And I really believe that with this different process, it'll get us all to the table and hopefully get a lot of our kinks worked out much sooner and before hopefully they come back to you all for final presentation. And we would appreciate your support with this revision.
Okay, thank you both. I appreciate that. And Ms. Bigby too, I know that you were intimately involved with helping get this forward to us. So we'll start off with Commissioner Hayes Santos.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you everyone who's been working on this. I think there are some good changes in this, though I do worry. I don't want us to become too bureaucratic and just have to fit into a process. I mean, policy creation is not a clean process. It's messy. It goes in different directions, and if we have too rigid of a process, I worry that could cause issues. I guess one thing too is, I mean, some things need more analysis, need a lot of community engagement, other things don't. And I want to make sure we don't get stuck in that process too, where everything has to go through all of these hoops and hurdles. I'm open to some of these changes. I just don't want us to become too stuck, because this kind of policy process was created to allow commissioners to be able to look into things open-ended and to kind of be able to explore new things. And that's kind of one area where I definitely have a strong concern. Or really the main area of strong concern is on the phase 1 and the main first step. I don't know if we can bring up the policy process flow guide from the new version on the screen. The one that's in green and orange. That one, yeah. So that very first top left, the commissioner and/or commissioner determines what where it lies in the strategic plan. I don't think that needs to happen in the first step. I mean, the idea of this was to be open-ended and to be able to explore things, and it may not fit where we are in the strategic plan. And also, if we're not allowed to kind of look outside the strategic plan and these kind of open-ended beginning thought process, then our strategic plan will never change too, because I know a lot of research projects that have helped push where we go in the strategic plan. So that's one area where I don't think we need to make that decision when it's first getting researched. I think moving and like if the commissioner wants to bring it to the GPC for consideration, then sure, that could be where it could have to fit into a strategic plan, but not in the beginning of the research. I think we should leave that open-ended, and by closing that off, I think it will hurt our city and keep us just too restricted. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Ariola.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to start from the very beginning. When we initially gave direction to take the clerk's office in this direction, I think we always accepted that we were going to make changes to it because we wanted to be in charge of that process. We entrusted the clerk to bring on the staff to create the policy process, but I think the intention was for the commission to have sort of an organic say as to how this developed, and I've seen that, and that's what I think this is. I think that this is the next step, because what I recall being the big hurdle for a lot of these policy proposals was that charter and staff collaboration, which wasn't happening every time for every item. You use the word rigid. I use the word as guidance. This looks to me like it's got better guidance for how the rest of the organization should work with the policy staff. They've already, gone together and come up with this. That first section does say policy staff may utilize, and I think I'm going to emphasize that word may utilize, because I do think this is supposed to be an open-ended process, at least, an open starting process, not necessarily open-ended. But I'm fine with it. I really like the changes. I think what we're going to see is, number one, I think we're going to see more organized decision-making. I think we're going to see more staff participation in the early decision-making points and in the later ones, which I think we need, particularly if it's crossing multiple charters, which some of these proposals are. So I like it. I think that as long as we don't, I can agree with you, but our first policy director, she had this great quote, discretion breeds dissatisfaction. And so while the policy process is messy, when the City Commission's policy is almost enacted via discretion without some type of a process, it can breed dissatisfaction. So I think that this gives us a guideline and fence posts and guideposts for us to follow, and not just us up here, but everyone in the organization whenever we have an idea. So I like it. I'd like to see us go forward with it. I don't know that it requires any action. So.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Sacco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you all who worked on it. I was really excited when we first got the preview to walk through it, and I'm really excited that we're at this point. I'm actually going to agree with Commissioner Ariola. If it's not so much a rule as a guideline, to quote a famous pirate, that I can see this being, 95% of the time we stick to this guide as well as we can, and it gives some kind of structure and predictability to where an idea is. And I think we need that because we decide on a million things. And I think the public would like to know where things, the process of things, because oftentimes we'll talk about something for 3 hours, we'll give the big, yes, go ahead, and then the public doesn't see the hidey hole it goes into for 6, 12, 18 months. So knowing these are the steps an idea has to go through, this is when it'll come back to us for more input, this is when it comes to the public for input. I think having a spelled out and pretty readable step plan of how it goes through is helpful for everyone. That said, I will agree with Commissioner Hay Santos that a requirement that something adhere to or align with the strategic plan might not be the best idea. I do want the bulk of our work to align with the strategic plan because that's why we went through the process of getting a strategic plan. These are our goals and priorities. That said, there are times where one of us might have an idea and it doesn't really necessarily align with the strategic plan because it's so far removed, but it is a good idea that we should explore. I don't think non-aligned ideas should be preempted from the process. And that is to say, I can't think of something right now, but you know, we're talking only about apples and oranges, but somebody finds a cucumber. It's like, oh, well, that could also help. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not on our list, but okay. And we do have a kind of way of limiting these outsider ideas with our whose turn is it plan, from how many suggestions or ideas or assignments we can give to the research team. We are still limited, so I can't come up with 10 non-aligned ideas and say go figure them out, and I'm not going to take up all of the research team's time because there's a turn system for priority. So I think we're safe on that. Yeah, I would, if we make any tweaks at all, it would be the preference that we emphasize that may on how it may align, but not necessarily restrict non-aligned ideas from being part of research. Good ideas come up. Other cities do really cool things that we might like and want to explore, but we hadn't thought about it the year prior when doing our strategic plan. That shouldn't prohibit us from exploring those ideas until we come up with a new strategic plan. And it might be something really small but really helpful that wasn't the big idea that we were thinking of while doing the strategic plan. So I'm for moving to the system. I would just ask for that tweak at the beginning, but otherwise I'm very comfortable with it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to everyone who's worked on this across the charters, and especially Mr. Folston. I know you put a lot of effort into this. The rectangle in question there, the commission and/or commissioner determines problem to be solved and where it aligns with the strategic plan. I don't think that implies that it must align with the strategic plan, but whether or not it does. So I think it's perfectly okay for us to say, oh, look, this does not align with the strategic plan, but it's still something that we need to work on. I think it implies that there's preference given to things that are that align with the strategic plan, because again, the strategic plan is what we as a group have said we ought to be working on. But I don't think this precludes things that are not part of that plan, because as Commissioner Santos said, that's how we introduce new things to the plan as we move forward. So I'm comfortable with this, and I think we all are aware, but it bears repeating that 4 of us are term limited from our current positions in a little over a year, and there needs to be some structure. It is useful and beneficial to our neighbors and to staff to have a structure in place for a very different commission to work with, instead of it being the Wild West as it has been sometimes in the past. And that's what I'm most interested in, is making sure that we create a system that works not only for us, but that is replicable for new commissioners as we turn over. So thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody. Not only ready, but excited to move forward with these changes. I think they will improve the process. I sort of kind of almost date myself, but you know, this to me is General Policy 2.0. So we used to have no system, and sort of things were either done on the fly at the dais or were referred to staff, and they would maybe come back in a timely fashion or maybe not, or, you know, so, you know, I think the first challenge, which I think has been satisfied, is let's create a more formal and equitable process where folks that have new ideas, bring them forward. But there were clearly some flaws, that it was not, it didn't function, it does not function in an optimal way. And so that's what I see these changes as attempting to do. I agree that if somebody has an idea, or I'll add, I think, and probably more often than not, if one of our neighbors brings us an idea that they'd like us to explore, I would almost be shocked if they could name our strategic plan priorities like that. I would find it almost troubling that they would know the detail of what we do to that level. And so it shouldn't preclude an idea being superficially explored. And so I wrote down that it's almost binary. Like, I think we could at that point say, this does align with our strategic plan, and here's where and how, or no, this does not. This is completely, out of field. And so name that and be very clear about that in phase 2 when it comes back to us. And then we can decide, look, our full staff capacity is currently being focused on all the other priorities we've established in the strategic plan. It's just not possible. Or this is such an important and critical and time sensitive idea, or this is such an incredibly exciting idea that we want to elevate that above something else that is already in process through the strat plan, which means we pull something else out. I mean, I think that's the honest conversation that we all need to have and that we are typically unwilling to have is, there's only so much time and resources. So if we add something that's completely new, we've got to back something else out. And that's where I would depend on our senior staff and the charters especially, as well as us, and I'll take primary responsibility for that, to step up and say, look, this is completely new and was not part of our strategic plan, not part of even maybe our budget that we've agreed to. And so we think it's so important to discuss this and learn more that if we decide to move forward, we need some suggestions about what we can pull out, just to be fair, just to be realistic. Because every one of you has been around long enough that if we just keep piling new stuff on, many things are not going to get done. It's not possible. So that's frustrating as well, because you ask, as Commissioner Sacco said, maybe 18 months down the road, hey, what's going on with that thing? Well, you added 14 other things since then, and that's been what, so I think phase 2 is where we can really, again, be intentional about deciding whether it does fit within the currently adopted strategic plan or not, and then if not, have a more serious and I think difficult discussion about what that means. So that's the only, I don't even know that modifies what's up here, except to say that if something cannot be aligned with a specific plank in the strategic plan, it doesn't automatically disqualify it from discussion in phase 2. We just make it very clear that either the commission nor staff was able to find a direct alignment with the strategic plan, and just make that very, very plain. That seemed reasonable, and I don't think out of line with what was presented today either. So with that, is anybody interested in making a motion to move forward with this evolution of the process?
I can move that.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Ariola, seconded by Commissioner Ward to endorse this new policy process with that one little caveat. Again, I don't think it's a change in language, but just to make our intent clear. So we will open it up for public comment. We'll start with you, Mr. Shepard.
Thank you. I love the idea that David Arroyo brought up, that the word may should be added to that. I think also in phase 4, phase there need to also be changed, because it doesn't point out the opinion of the commissioners. It says what the staff wants done, but yet it doesn't say what the commissioners want to be done. So the work there can be corrected towards the format that's been presented today. You've done a great job today. I like what I've heard, seen, and I'd like to be able to come here and see more stuff like this going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. Adam, over to you. We don't have anybody else in chamber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. We don't have anybody on the lines at this time.
Okay, very good. Then we'll move back to the commission. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously with Johnson and Duncan Walker absent. Thank you, Ms. Bigby, Mr. Folson, Ms. Gainey, and then all the other charters and senior staff that helped give input to this. I do think it's definitely going to be an improved process for everybody. Okay, so our next item is our administrative session, basically mapping out the next few General Policy Committee meeting items, and I meant to print out the little fill-in-the-blank form, which was really helpful. I don't know if that's been in our backup before, but it is now, and it's great. So we have 3 meetings, correct? August 26th, September 9, and September 23rd. We will continue hearing board and advisory committee updates at the beginning of each of those meetings. And then we need to just slot in some of the others that we want to hear. So Commissioner Santos, start with you.
Thank you, Mayor. 3 things I'd like to consider. One of them is kind of a check-in and seeing where it's at. But I would like for us to discuss commission salaries and commission staffing. And then the last one is we gave direction a while ago on election petitions and changing that kind of portion of our election code to kind of requiring or changing how people qualify for city elections. And I don't know where that is or kind of the status of that is, but I think that is something that we need to start making those kind of changes somewhat soon so it's ready for the next election.
Michelle, you look like you're prepared to answer that second question. Go ahead.
Is this on? Okay, there we go. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I think that's item number 200744, and our office is working on an ordinance right now that will both conform the city code to the charter regarding elections and also bring in the piece that you all asked for regarding ways to qualify. We anticipate that we would place that on a city commission agenda for adoption in the September-October timeframe.
Okay, thank you. And just those 2 items are ones that I would like for us to consider then.
Okay, Commissioner Ariola.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So first, I want to have a follow-up discussion on our annexation that we just recently had. That can be, I mean, it's all time sensitive, but not to any of these dates. It can be in any one of these. Are we going to have I'm just advocating for this anyway. We absolutely need to have that discussion of redistricting with the supervisor in the room. So we need to save a space for that, whether that's on a GPC or a regular meeting. One of those would be fine. Let's see, the subcommittee will be starting soon, so that doesn't need it. We need a follow-up on the charter amendment discussion that we had for the general question around Gainesville's governance that I sort of started with my proposal for how the charter could be amended. And it sounded like you all had some ideas that we could possibly get some feedback from our neighbors on. And then the last item that we have to get back to is the charter officer complaint procedures. That had been kicked down the road a bunch, and we need to we need to square that away.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Shalley, did you have any updates on any of those?
I did. On the redistricting item, after you all last discussed it on July 22nd, our office met with the supervisor's office and her staff, and we were planning to bring an update to you, and we can do that on September 9th. But in short, the supervisor was very willing to have both her staff and her consultant that will be redrawing precincts work with our consultant and our staff. So we'll provide, and we're also right now going back and forth on a timeline that would allow us to achieve the city's redistricting prior to or have it in place for your August 2022 elections. And the supervisor was very willing to work with us to do that. So if you'd like, we'll place an update on the September 9th meeting. GBC.
Fantastic news on both accounts. So yeah, we'll lock that in. Okay. Are there anybody from staff comment on anything having to do with the charter officer complaint process or annexation? I mean, are those basically, is there work being done on those, or is that simply commission discussion and direction? Sure, thanks, Bobby.
Bobby Griffith, Office of Strategic Initiatives. For the annexations section, the Office of the Department of Sustainable Development is working on that. And I think we've been in discussions about putting a survey together, and I know you all want to have a voice on what that survey looks like and stuff. So I've taken the last city survey, put some questions in there that could be of interest, and sent that to Director Persons.
Do you think, just as far as the survey portion of that goes, do you think the 9th would be enough time to?
I don't want to speak for Andrew. I'm sorry.
Okay, is he on? Andrew, are you on? And Madam Clerk, you can take the screen down. I'm good with that. Thanks for bringing it up. So I am guessing Mr. Persons is not with us. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it doesn't seem like too heavy of a lift to get that back to us on the 9th with just a discussion of the survey and potential questions. So I want to tentatively schedule that next discussion for then.
Okay, I'll mention it with the city manager, and I guess if there's an issue with him and Andrew, they'll get back with you.
Yeah, we have Ms. Bowie on the line and Mr. Murray's in with us here, so if you'll just pass that along. And if there's a problem, just get with the clerk and let her know, and we'll figure out another time. But
sounds good.
Thank you. How about charter officer complaint process?
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. Sylvia Warren, Office of Equity and Inclusion. I do know that in Ms. Marshall's transition document to me, she had discussed having a specialist come in and speak to the commission. I'm actually following up with that, so I will come back to you and let you know what I find out. But she did give me some information that she's wanting to bring in a third party to discuss with the commission some alternatives they have to have it done from, externally.
Okay, so I think then, Ms. Warren, if you could inform the commission just via memo once, once you know, and then once we have that person on board and we can work with them on availability, hopefully we can get them scheduled for maybe the September 23rd meeting. I mean, we'll shoot for that. If that's not possible, we can work on other dates.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any objection to putting the charter amendment on the 23rd? The mayor, the Commissioner Ariola's item. Okay. And then Commissioner Santos, how about putting the salary and staffing on that as well? That's all sort of charter amendment stuff.
Sure. Yeah, one of them's charter, yeah.
One of them is, yeah. So that'll just be a governance meeting, basically. Okay, so that's all of those. Commissioner Ward?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So one question, and maybe I'm just missing something, but Mr. Falston, what do you have ready to bring back to us? I think that's the key in all this is what reports are waiting for us from your office.
All of the items that were mentioned. So commission salaries will be back on the 23rd for you. Charter amendment is not in our shop. Commission staffing is something that Commissioner Hayes Santos mentioned that is ready to come back for you guys to schedule on there as well. And the other items that are on our list, because one of the things is I wanted to share during administrative session time is we have a list of items that need to come back to GPC, and we would like for them to come back sooner rather than later because we want to talk about sunsetting at some point the list, because the list keeps growing and nothing keeps coming back. And we want to either get them off of your list so your list is cleaner or go ahead and schedule them. So there are a number of items that are already on here to be scheduled. And then a couple of our items we want to hold into the next quarter of the year so that we can get with staff that are going to be pertinent to those conversations.
So what are those items that you would either like us to sunset or hear and move forward with?
Several of them involve charters, so I would prefer that they speak to their items, but on the list that's in front of you that has the items that Betsy normally sends out, there's a number of them that have not come back yet that we either need to sunset or we need to schedule.
Okay, well, I see one on there, comp plan update. I was wondering if the exclusionary and inclusionary zoning, that's probably not going to be ready by this quarter, right? Okay, that was what I was interested in.
Mayor, would you like me to read some of these off?
We've got them in front of us. But if it's the
Okay.
charters who are wanting us to, hop, skip, or jump. Let's start with general government. Ms. Bowie or Mr. Murray, do you have? You'd be most familiar with whether there are items that are just sort of lingering out there that you need us to hear and give direction on. Ms. Bowie?
Hi there, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. I'm here. I'm actually trying to open the attachment. So just give me a moment. Do you want to start with it? The attachment for some reason won't open, so I'm trying to read. This is the list that Betsy sent out.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's like a 6-page, 7-page Excel.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get it to open. I apologize. So I've got too many things.
I'm sorry, it might not be in backup.
Open. No, it's not. It's not in backup. So that's why I'm having to actually search for it. Our action list. I think I'm getting it open right now. And I don't believe some of our staff realized that you were going to be going through the action list. So I apologize for some of them not being here. I was actually on the line trying to find out where people were. Okay. Okay. So I have it open. Let's see. Which one were you asking me about?
Well, Mr. Folson just indicated that there are items that either need to be sunsetted or need to come back to us for a specific direction, and that it was the charters that were the ones primarily interested in that happening.
All right, so I think this is actually, I don't know that this has been completely updated by every single charter, and if you'll give me a moment, I can probably just verify that. So like I have some internal notes for some of them, but I don't know that's the status of some of them. I think that was the whole purpose of sending out this document, is so that people could give feedback as to kind of what the next step, where they are in the timeline. And I can get some updates because I don't know that this document reflects all of those updates.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Bowie. I'm looking through some of these. Disadvantaged workers ordinance, apprenticeship ordinance, those are done, so we can sunset those, or just remove them. Denial of CARES funding by Alachua County, that's done. Public health update, that's done. Universal basic income can be sunsetted. Community-based approach to panhandling, we passed that ordinance. Wild spaces, public places, go ahead.
So Mayor, at the top of the list, it should be highlighted and it should on the front of your page that's stapled for you guys. And it says and highlighted to be heard.
Yeah.
So those are the items to be heard. And then the next list is the ones that have already been heard.
Right, which I don't want. So if they're heard and they've been, I mean, some of these have been heard and they're still outstanding, like Job Corps, for example.
Right.
Like that needs to stay in there because we're not sure what's going to happen with that site yet. Others, like the general fund transfer or public health update, have been heard and they can be removed because they're no longer, I mean, we've dealt with it. So that's what I'm saying. Now, if you're just saying of the ones to be heard, I guess I'll go back to Mr. Murray or Ms. Bowie or any of the other charter officers that are in the meeting. If there are items in there that you need us to address, then fine. Like ways to increase the number of women at the Gainesville Police Department and Gainesville Fire Rescue, I'm guessing that's not ready yet. I'm guessing that's going to take some more effort, right?
Right.
So out of those, which ones are ready and you need us to consider or take off the list in that first page, I guess? Commissioner Ward, I'll go ahead. While they're looking through that, I'll go to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So are we going to need to carve out space in here for direction to our lobbying team?
Yeah, probably. Let's do that on the 9th.
Okay.
State legislative.
Right.
Mr. Murray?
City Commission, we're going to be bringing an item back to you probably on the 19th where you can give us direction as it relates to the state lobbyists because we have gone through an RFP process. We need to bring that process back to you so you can give us approval to accept their ranking.
And somebody's not on mute.
And that has to do also as we hire them. If you don't accept the ranking, then we have to go to number 2 and then have to go through that process.
Okay, very good. We'll do that on the 19th. I think Commissioner Ward is talking about adopting a state legislative agenda.
Yes.
Because they're about to go into committee weeks fairly soon after.
So we'll put that on the 9th. We'll put adopting a state legislative agenda on the 9th. We'll have the firm hired by then.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
And I think they're scheduling meetings with you. If our current lobbyist firm is scheduling me with you right then.
Yeah, okay.
So
we'll put that on the 9th. Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Murray. Commissioner Saka?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So when we did the joint food systems meeting, Ms. Raskin mentioned that certain parts of the very long PowerPoint of 20 different options we had on food systems, that some of those items were being fleshed out and researched on how to move forward with some of the ones that I think we all voted on which 4 or 5 we wanted to keep moving forward on. And it's still here as one of the things to be heard. So I don't know if anyone can give an update on where we are with some of those were midterm or mid-level kind of projects. And
Ms. Bowie, do you have an update, or even if you don't know specifics, Ms. Bowie, if you think there would be a couple of those that would be ready for us on the 9th or 23rd, there's room on those agendas for that. 23rd?
I do. I'm trying to take myself off of mute. So Some of them are ready. So I know that the item that I think you were just asking Andrew about, I just got a note from the manager that he said had already communicated that that was going to be ready in the September meeting. But as I look through some of these, let's see, that one specifically was September the 16th. You were asking about the annexation survey. But on this to be heard list, many of these are not ready.
Okay.
So I realize this is probably not helpful, and I apologize, but I was not aware that you guys were going to go through this list. So it really in deference to the manager, because I don't know that what I'm looking at honestly reflects all of the dates and direction from the manager about when he wants to stage some of these. So that one I know is the 16th. I know the CRA that's a little bit further down is not ready. So I think what's probably going to be helpful is for us to give you some definite dates. And I don't know if you want us to do that in this document and send it back through Betsy.
No, probably not. So I think, Ms. Bowie, and you know, wave us off if it's not possible, but I think I would rather hear the annexation survey on the 9th versus the 16th, if it can be ready a week earlier. Because I think that's a better GPC item than a city commission item, in case we have any more direction or we want to make any changes as opposed to final approval. So if it can be ready a week earlier.
I can communicate that to the manager. I don't know if it will be, but you would like to hear that on the 9th, not the 16th?
We'll tentatively schedule it for then, and then if there's a problem, I'll work with the clerk to modify or just pull it off and put it on the 16th if that's what has to happen.
So we don't have an answer about the food systems.
Oh, and then, yeah, if we could.
Because Ms. Raskin made it sound like there has been significant progress made on many of the items. I'd like to know which ones and how much.
So let's tentatively schedule an update on local food systems action plan. It doesn't have to be the whole thing, just if whatever items there has been progress and.
Yeah, I just want to know what progress has been made.
Okay, so we'll tentatively schedule that for the 9th as well. And what I'm looking at right now, y'all, just because the way things are playing out, not scheduling anything for the 29th. If we need to have some sort of emergency meeting for some reason or something spills over, we can keep that date.
26?
8/26? Oh, that's 29th. 8/26, yeah. Not scheduling anything, and if nothing comes up, we'll just cancel it. If something does come up where we need a date, we have it already. All right. Okay. Commissioner Santos.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. You were going through the list of ones to take off. I don't know if you want to continue that and just clean up those we know.
Let me work with the clerk. I'm gonna work with the clerk and ask her to work with the charters to call that list, and then we'll clean that up at the next one. It's clear that not everyone was completely prepared to do that today, so I just want to give them a chance, and we'll deal with that at our next administrative session.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
There's no urgency.
Mr. Mayor, can I clarify what I heard so that I have this correct? So you prefer to hear the annexation on the 9th. If not, then it'll be the 16th, but you also want to hear whatever the update is on the local food systems, progress of it on the 9th as well.
Correct, yeah. And I'll go through all of these agendas once we get done here. And broadcast super champions, the screen that the commission can see has gone blank. We can still kind of see what's going on the side here, but the one in front of us is blank. Commissioner Ariola?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to bring this up during commission comment, but it flows nicely into the discussion we're having now about when to schedule policy discussions. Harvey and I had a sunshine meeting, very productive sunshine meeting, where we discussed our goals for child and youth services for this year and next year. And thanks to our staff, I had a meeting, I assume you had the same meeting with staff, where they presented options that the commission can consider for this year and next year. So I don't know if that's something we want to put on a GPC or a regular meeting. I don't think we have to schedule a special meeting for it. I think it's pretty cut and dry. I don't want to go into the details now because I'd rather staff give you all that that primer before either of us do it.
Okay, well, it would be on the 26th if it's ready for
It's
that
ready.
meeting. I have not had that discussion with staff yet, so I'm not sure, but yeah, we could.
They've calendared some of them already to meet with about it.
Okay. Okay, so we'll schedule a youth services discussion for the 26th.
Great.
Okay, so Madam Clerk, what I have is for 8/26, a discussion of youth services. For September 9th, redistricting. Please place that first on the agenda out of respect for the supervisor of elections. We'll discuss the annexation survey questions, our state legislative agenda. Again, let's put that second on the agenda because we'll probably have some folks from Tallahassee on that call. And then an update on any items that are ready for local food systems action plan. And then on September 23rd, we'll discuss Commissioner Ariola's charter amendment question, city commission salaries, and city commission staffing. Everybody clear and good? Okay, any questions from staff? All right, that doesn't really require a motion. We'll just move that forward. So then up next, we have general public comment. These are anything anybody wants to share with us that was not on our agenda today. Welcome, come on down. Just tell us who you are.
Good day, Commissioner Ward and Mayor Poe, Commissioner Hayes Santos, Commissioner David Ariella, and Commissioner Sacto. I'm here on behalf of the skateboarding community, the action sports community here in Gainesville, Florida. And we have such a thriving community of people involved in the arts, the sports, the music in our town here. And I know the goal of Gainesville is essentially to create a better quality of life for all its citizens. And at this moment, we have had things happen to our community that wouldn't happen to anybody else's, such as mulch being poured on the skate park or kids being arrested that are at-risk youth for simply practicing an Olympic sport at this moment. And we were looking at the Wild Spaces and Public Places Fund as a resource to sort of reach out and say, Gainesville has supported these group of artists and athletes for so many years that to be able to contribute and really build on that foundation that they've laid, you have Martin Luther King Park, you have West Side Park, you have Possum Creek Skate Park, and we're Gainesville, so we already know that we're in a better position than Ocala, just in that fact alone. But it's a fact that Ocala Skate Park has lights already, and for over 2 years, the children have been requesting, hey, can you go talk to the city commission and ask them, say, how can we get lights in our skate park? And now, after the Olympics introduction with skateboarding this year, it's been an overwhelmingly popular sport amongst at-risk youth, the teenagers. The teenage park is what a lot of them consider the skate park. And though they may not go there to skateboard alone, they go there to make videos, to hang out with their friends, to socialize in a safe public space. And any sort of investment we can have with that will be a tremendous help to that community at large. And so I just wanted to bring it before you and see at some later date if we could set up meetings to talk about how this may be something that could apply to the Public Spaces Wild Places Fund, because it's a growth, it's a network. When people think of skateboarders, it's not just guys riding on these old dollies. It's you got little kids in the park with their razor scooters, you got the moms, you got the dads. It's something to do together. And it really builds a community spirit, whether you're riding a bicycle, whether you're on roller skates, and it feeds a demographic that Gainesville, since I was a little kid, you could see on the sidewalks. It's perfect to ride, whether it's a roller skate, bicycle, the new scooters that you have everywhere. And ultimately, we want people to come to Gainesville because it's an awesome town. They say, hey, New York's no good in the winter. Well, You know, the Mets go down to Tampa for their training. Why wouldn't the skateboarders of New York City and the artists and the performers want to come down here to Gainesville? It's a wonderful town.
Right on.
And thank you for your time.
Thank you. And if you want to schedule appointments with us, just go right out this front door and take a right to the door right there. There's some administrative assistants in there, and they can help you schedule meetings with us one-on-one if you want to do that. We can also do them on Zoom or phone calls, whatever works best for you. But stick around because a few folks I probably want to speak to what you just spoke to. So.
Okay,
But that's
I
how you
appreciate
schedule an
it.
appointment if you want, absolutely.
And thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for being with us today. Appreciate it. Okay, Adam, do you have anybody online for general public comment?
Well, Mr. Mayor, there's nobody on the line right now.
Okay, we'll just take a stick around. Yes, ma'am. Okay, Mr. Shepherd, you got anything?
My sponsor, who is a motorcycle avid rider, and he is with the Ride Now motorcycle group here in Ocala and in Gainesville, and he has mentioned to me that he would like to have a motorcycle riding area developed to take and have four-wheelers and events that we could take and put together to take and give our children of our area that are older than 12, 14 years old. We got some bikers that are young riders and four-wheelers. This here is a convention that we'd like to get started in 2023. In 2022, if it was possible, we'd like to purchase some land from the city or what to take and make this happen. This is a event that is needed in our city to help Tony Jones with his programs and help others. My neighbor also would be helping on this financially, and others that I have talked to. My sponsor will take and be getting with the people to take and make these things happen. So I'm going to tell him also that he can contact y'all and make an appointment to take and set up this kind of action in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd.
And my remaining time, I'd like to take and bring up the fact that in this last thunderstorm, we had lost our electricity and at the Lamplighter Trailer Park, and it had burned half of my trailer's utilities out. And when I had it checked out, they took and said that it wasn't their problem, it was mine, and I disagree. So I'd like to have another survey done to take and determine why half my trailer is not working when it was working before this storm. Also, what really critical is the electric grid that goes into this park is so rotted that our GRU workers' lives are in danger because of it. And so we need to make this park accountable for this grid to be updated.
Okay, thank
when
you.
there's 23,000 volts going through.
Thank you,
and
Mr.
there's
Shepherd. Yeah,
workers
well,
are-
I'm sure our GM is listening, and he'll make
Okay.
note of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Adam, I'll check with you one more time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's nobody here yet.
Okay, very good. We'll turn back to the commission then. Commissioner Santos.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. On the skate parks, I 100% agree with you, and I think that's something we should look at funding next year. I think the MLK Park and even Westside Park are I think we should have more fully formed skate parks at those places, and definitely lighted as well. I also think as Depot Park has become our main park of looking south in the old RTS and what amenities we could expand for the park there, including a skate park and other fields and other things like that. So I hope that we can have a discussion later on.
I'm a bit hard of hearing.
Okay, we'll speak
So-
up, but you don't get 2 bites at the apple. We just have to be equitable to everybody. But we'll ask him to repeat his comments.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
is
gotcha.
it-
Yeah, we gotcha.
Can you hear me better now? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I hear you. I fully support you. I think that we should have more fully formed skate parks. I think the one we have at MLK and West Side are something, but I don't think they're as fully formed as they should be. And having fully lit ones. I also think we should look at the old RTS site south of Depot Park as a place to expand our Depot Park as it's becoming busier and looking at both, I think, basketball and weightlifting and the skate park and also fields in that area too. I think would be great locations for lighted amenities as our urban area grows. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, yeah, we'll let you get him afterwards. Okay. Yeah, we just have a set of rules inside the chamber here.
And please do sign up. I'd love to chat with you if we can set up an appointment too. Thank you.
Commissioner Ward?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, following on that, we've had a lot of kind of side conversations over the years about lighting in general in parks. If we're serious about this, where it dovetails into youth services, if we're serious about youth services, then we need to make sure that parks are available for organized activities at various times of the day, rather than just saying, after school, you got about 3 hours and then we're done. And I recognize that those services, the guidance for those services, as well as building the lights and managing the extra hours for the parks comes at a cost. But we need to begin to consider that and put together some kind of framework for how we might move forward. I am sure that somebody at Parks has given thought to these things already, and I'd like to empower them to bring some ideas back. And I would love to see us have more conversation about how that might look, not as a let's go do this and let's go do that, and just a scattershot approach, but how we might comprehensively talk about what's next for our public facilities, particularly as they relate to youth services. Thank you.
Thank you. And the one thing I'd add to that is that, we have a potential renewal of Wild Spaces Public Places coming up in a little over a year. You're correct that there's a funding source there, but the only things that can be funded through that are things that were approved on the list before the voters voted for it. So if lighting Possum Creek is not on there, then we can't use the current Wild Spaces money to do that. So what I really encourage you to do is keep the skateboarding, and I know it's not just skateboarders, but keep the outdoor active community engaged in this, because when Wild Spaces starts being discussed again, we're going to write a new list. And the things on that new list are what will be funded over the next decade, basically. And so you'll want to make sure that things like that are on there. And not only are they on there, but they're prioritized pretty high on the list so they get done earlier. That's the sort of most likely next step. There's other ways that it can happen, but we're going to get a lot of requests for a lot of things, and the only way that they're going to get done is if we pass this Wild Spaces extension for another 8 or 10 years. So that's where you can really be effective and successful, getting all your folks out, get them to come to meetings, get them to email and give their input and say, this is important to us and here's why, to make sure that it gets in that next round of funding. So we'll continue to work on that, but there's I think I'll certainly advocate for it. I'm not going to be around much longer, but I'll certainly help y'all advocate for that and make the case why that's so important to not just y'all, but to a lot of folks that live in Gainesville. Commissioner Santos.
Thank you, Mayor. You brought up something that I forgot to bring up a while ago, but the sales tax, and I know we are scheduled to have a joint meeting with the county. I strongly believe that we should meet and discuss things beforehand so that I want us to hopefully be able to make a decision at that point. I know the county wants us to move forward. I think we need to discuss kind of what our thoughts are, just keeping on where we want to put funding, what our percentage of how much the tax might be, how does sales taxes work? I think not everyone has been on the commission for a sales tax vote. And I think getting our ducks in order will have a much more productive meeting with the county if we do that. I don't know if we want to put that on a general policy meeting of the 26th or something like that, just a general discussion. But
yeah, we could put a placeholder there. I don't know if we'll be ready, but we might be. So Madam Clerk, let's go ahead and put discussion of a sales tax on the 26th. And then if staff's not ready, we'll probably have to put that on a regular city commission meeting later in the month. Okay, any commission comment? All right, very good. Then no further business before us. We are adjourned. Y'all have a good day.